My wife's divorced friends told her that marriage was holding her back from living her best life and convinced her she needed to rediscover herself. When she asked for a divorce, I said, "You're absolutely right, you should definitely rediscover yourself." Then I helped her discover some things she wasn't expecting. I'm 35M and my wife Lisa 33F have been married for 8 years. We met in our mid-20s and had what I considered a solid marriage. We both have good careers, own a beautiful home, and travel regularly. I genuinely thought we were happy until 6 months ago when Lisa reconnected with her college friends and everything changed. The friend group consists of Lisa, Monica, Jessica, and Ashley. After graduation, they'd stayed in loose contact through social media but hadn't spent much time together. Monica had moved across the country after her second divorce, Jessica had been married and divorced twice, and Ashley had focused on her career and never married. Lisa was the only one in a stable long-term relationship. 6 months ago, Monica moved back to our city after her divorce. She reached out wanting to reconnect and rebuild her support network. Lisa was excited to revive old friendships and started meeting them for weekly dinners. At first, I thought it was great that Lisa was reconnecting with friends. The weekly meetups quickly turned into daily contact. Lisa would come home talking about how enlightened and empowered her friends were. She started using phrases I'd never heard from her about living authentically and not settling for less. She began questioning things about our life that had never bothered her before. Monica says, "I've gotten too comfortable in my marriage," Lisa told me after one dinner. She says comfort is the enemy of growth and that married women often lose themselves in relationships. I asked if she felt like she'd lost herself in our marriage. She said she wasn't sure, but Monica had made interesting points about how marriage can limit potential for self-discovery. I told Lisa we should talk about any concerns, but she said she needed to think about it more. Over the next weeks, Lisa's behavior changed dramatically. She began working out obsessively, changed her wardrobe, and started talking about exploring new experiences. She signed up for classes, bought expensive products, and began spending money on things she'd never been interested in before. Jessica says, "I've been playing it too safe," Lisa explained. She says, "I got married young and never really explored who I could become." She thinks I've been hiding behind marriage security instead of challenging myself. The friends started having more influence over Lisa's decisions than I did. When we discussed vacationing in Italy, Lisa suddenly wanted to backpack through Asia alone because solo travel is essential for personal growth. When I suggested we travel together, Lisa said that would defeat the purpose. Ashley never got married because she didn't want to be tied down, Lisa said. She's traveled to 40 countries and built an amazing career because she prioritized herself over relationships. She says, "I could have done the same if I hadn't gotten married so young." The conversations with her friends became more intense. Lisa would spend hours on video calls discussing her journey of self-discovery. She started reading self-help books about breaking free from limiting relationships and joined online groups about conscious uncoupling. 3 months ago, Lisa announced she wanted couples therapy because she was working through things about marriage and commitment. Our therapist, Dr. Martinez, seemed concerned about some of Lisa's statements. Lisa explained she'd been doing deep work with her friends about personal growth and realized she might have settled for marriage without exploring her potential as an individual. She said she loved me but wasn't sure if she'd chosen marriage for the right reasons. Dr. Martinez asked what aspects of marriage felt limiting. Lisa struggled with examples, eventually saying things like, "I don't know who I would be if I were single and I've never had the chance to put myself first." Monica says married women lose their sense of adventure, Lisa said. Jessica says long-term relationships make you complacent. Ashley says marriage is giving up your dreams for someone else's happiness. Dr. Martinez asked if Lisa felt she'd given up dreams for our marriage. Lisa said she wasn't sure what her dreams were because she'd focused on we instead of me. She said her friends were helping her rediscover her individual identity. Over several sessions, it became clear Lisa's friends were conducting group therapy without professional training. They were analyzing her marriage, diagnosing problems, and prescribing solutions based on their own negative experiences. Dr. Martinez suggested Lisa try individual therapy without external influences. Lisa rejected individual therapy, saying her friends understood her better than any therapist because they'd known her longer. She said Dr. Martinez didn't understand the unique challenges women face in marriage. 2 months ago, Lisa's behavior became more erratic. She started going out until 2 a.m., coming home talking about breakthrough conversations about how limited her life had become. She questioned every aspect of our relationship. Monica pointed out that I always defer to your preferences for restaurants or movies, Lisa said. She says that's codependency and I've lost touch with my own preferences. The friends criticized everything about our marriage. They said joint bank accounts showed I was controlling her financially. They called our date nights boring and said she should seek more exciting experiences. They even criticized our relationship intimacy, telling Lisa that married couples inevitably become sexually stagnant. Jessica says being with the same person for years kills excitement and mystery, Lisa told me. She says I'll never know real passion if I stay in a comfortable marriage. Last month, Lisa dropped the bomb. She came home looking determined and nervous. She said she'd decided to take a break from our marriage to figure out who she really was as an individual. "I need to rediscover myself outside this relationship," she said. "I got married before I knew who I was, and I've never explored my potential." Monica, Jessica, and Ashley helped me realize I've been living a limited version of myself. I asked what a break meant. She said she needed space to date herself and figure out what she wanted from life. She'd always been half of a couple and needed to learn to be complete on her own. "You're a great husband," Lisa said, "but I need to know if I'm staying married because I want to be with you or because I'm afraid of being alone. My friends showed me there's a world of experiences I've never explored." I told Lisa we could explore new experiences together. She said I didn't understand, she needed to do this alone, without my support or influence. "That's exactly what Monica said you'd say," Lisa told me. She said married men always try to convince wives they can change within marriage instead of acknowledging that some growth requires complete independence. 3 weeks ago, Lisa asked for formal separation. She'd found an apartment and wanted to move out to live authentically without marriage constraints. She wasn't sure if this would lead to divorce, but needed to explore single life. "I need to discover who I am when I'm not trying to be a good wife," she said. "My friends helped me realize I've never really put myself first." When Lisa asked how I felt about separation, I surprised her. "You're absolutely right," I said. "You should definitely rediscover yourself. I think it's great for you to explore who you are outside marriage. You should find out what you're capable of on your own." Lisa looked surprised by my supportive reaction. She'd expected me to fight or try to convince her to stay. Instead, I told her self-discovery was important and I respected her decision to prioritize personal growth. "I want you to have every opportunity to explore your potential," I told her. "You should see what single life offers and figure out if marriage is really what you want." Lisa seemed almost disappointed by my lack of resistance, but said she was glad I was being mature. She moved out the following weekend with Monica and Jessica's help, who kept commenting about how brave and empowered Lisa was being. What Lisa didn't know was that I'd already started my own discovery journey. And what I was discovering would be very educational for both of us. Update 1. Lisa moved into a trendy downtown apartment she could barely afford on her single income. The place was tiny, expensive, and required a 40-minute commute, but Monica and Jessica convinced her it was perfect for her new lifestyle. The first week after Lisa moved out, she called daily to check in, clearly expecting me to be miserable and beg her to come back. Instead, I was enthusiastic about her experiences and encouraged her to explore everything single life offered. "How are you handling being alone?" she asked, fishing for signs I was struggling. "I'm doing great," I told her honestly. "I'm discovering things about myself too. You were right that we probably both got too comfortable." Lisa sounded confused by my positive attitude. Monica had warned her I might pretend to be fine while falling apart. I assured Lisa I genuinely wanted her to have this experience. Meanwhile, I was exploring my own opportunities. Without Lisa's expensive new habits, my monthly expenses dropped dramatically. I had more time for interests I'd neglected and was enjoying space to think without managing someone else's emotional reactions. 2 weeks later, I ran into Ashley at a coffee shop. She seemed surprised to see me looking relaxed and happy. "How are you holding up?" Ashley asked, expecting to see a broken man. "I'm doing really well," I said. Lisa was right that we'd gotten too comfortable. This separation has been great for rediscovering who I am outside marriage. Ashley looked confused and annoyed. She'd expected me to be struggling more with Lisa's decision. I told her I thought Lisa's choice was brave and I was proud of her courage to explore her potential. 3 weeks in, Lisa's calls became less frequent and more strained. She was having a harder time than expected but couldn't admit it without contradicting everything her friends had told her about empowerment. "The apartment is really expensive," Lisa mentioned. "I'm having to be more careful about budget than expected." I told Lisa that learning financial independence was valuable and budget constraints might help her discover what she really valued. Lisa sounded frustrated, like she'd hoped I'd offer to help with expenses. 1 month in, my friend Mark mentioned Lisa had been telling people at networking events she was newly single and looking to explore all her options and wanted to make up for lost time. I told Mark I thought it was good Lisa was being open about her goals. Mark seemed surprised by my reaction. I'd started paying attention to Lisa's friends' backgrounds. Monica had been married twice, both ending with her cheating and taking substantial settlements. Jessica had been engaged 4 times, with a pattern of pushing for quick commitments then getting bored. Ashley had never maintained a relationship longer than 6 months and was known for being critical of others' happiness. These weren't empowered women who'd chosen fulfilling single lives. These were women who'd sabotaged their own relationships and were convincing Lisa to do the same. 6 weeks in, Lisa's social media posts became more desperate. She posted photos from bars with captions about living her best life, but looked tired and unhappy. She was spending money she didn't have on experiences that were supposed to feel empowering but weren't working. Update 2. I started living my best life and posting about it. I shared photos from rock climbing, photography expeditions, and home renovation progress. I posted about new restaurants, books, and weekend trips to places Lisa and I had never visited. Unlike Lisa's desperate-looking club photos, my posts showed someone genuinely enjoying exploring new interests. The difference was striking. "You look really happy," my sister commented. "Separation seems to be agreeing with you." I responded that I was grateful for the opportunity to rediscover neglected parts of myself. I said Lisa was right that people could lose themselves in relationships. Lisa saw these posts and her reaction wasn't what her friends predicted. Instead of feeling empowered by my independence, she seemed threatened. She called after I posted camping photos. "You seem to be doing really well without me," she said with an edge to her voice. I told Lisa I was proud of how well we were both handling separation. It showed we'd grown into strong, capable people during marriage and could both thrive independently. "Monica says men usually fall apart when wives leave them," she said. I laughed and said Monica clearly hadn't known capable men. I said I'd been surprised by how much I enjoyed domestic tasks and maintaining the house alone. "You're not lonely?" Lisa asked, sounding disappointed. I told Lisa that solitude and loneliness were different. I was enjoying time to think and pursue interests without coordinating with someone else's schedule. 2 months in, I reached out to mutual friends who'd been concerned about Lisa's personality change. I didn't badmouth Lisa but was honest about what led to our separation. Lisa's questioning whether marriage held her back from discovering her potential, I explained. Her divorced friends convinced her she needs to explore single life. The response was immediate. Person after person said they'd been concerned about Lisa's new friend group and behavior changes. Several mentioned trying to reach out but being told Lisa was too busy exploring her authentic self. "Those women have been filling Lisa's head with poison," said our friend Sarah. "Every time I've tried to spend time with her, they've been there analyzing everything she says about her marriage." Lisa's sister Amy shared that Lisa had been calling family asking for financial help because her apartment was stretching her budget. She'd also been complaining about how hard it was to meet quality people and how disappointing her attempts at exploring options had been. "She won't admit it because her friends said that would mean failing," Amy said. "But she's miserable and scared." 3 months in, I hired a private investigator to get background information on Monica, Jessica, and Ashley. The results were worse than I'd suspected. Monica had a pattern of befriending married women and convincing them to leave husbands while trying to seduce the husbands herself. She'd broken up at least 3 marriages in her previous city. Jessica had been arrested for fraud and had a history of manipulating men financially. Ashley had been fired from jobs for creating hostile environments and had been in therapy for relationship sabotage tendencies. All 3 were struggling financially and emotionally despite claims about empowering single life. Monica lived off credit cards and alimony while desperately seeking husband number 3. Jessica was between jobs and had been evicted for non-payment. Ashley was on antidepressants and had been hospitalized for a breakdown. These weren't successful, empowered women. These were damaged people who'd sabotaged their happiness and were dragging Lisa down with them. 4 months in, Lisa's facade cracked. She called crying, saying she was having a really hard time adjusting. The independence she'd sought felt like isolation and she was questioning her decision. "I thought I'd feel more free by now," she said through tears. "But I just feel anxious and lonely. Monica says that's normal, but I don't feel like I'm breaking free. I just feel lost." Update 3. 5 months in, Lisa asked to meet for coffee. She looked terrible, weight loss, dark circles, jumpy and anxious. She said she'd been questioning some advice from her friends. "I'm not sure this separation is working out how I thought," she said carefully. "I thought I'd feel more confident by now, but I mostly feel stressed and overwhelmed." I told Lisa her feelings were valid and that if she was questioning her decision, maybe it was time to examine whether she was getting good advice from people she'd been trusting. I pulled out a folder of documents. "You said you wanted to discover who you really are," I said. "I thought you might be interested in discovering who your advisors really are too." I showed her the background information on Monica, Jessica, and Ashley. Lisa stared in shock as I explained Monica's pattern of breaking up marriages, Jessica's fraud history, and Ashley's relationship sabotage tendencies. "These aren't successful, empowered women who chose fulfilling single lives," I said. "These are people who consistently sabotage relationships and convince others to do the same. They're not helping you discover potential, they're dragging you down to their level." Lisa read through everything, tears forming. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" I explained she wouldn't have believed me if I'd tried discrediting her friends earlier. She needed to experience following their advice before she'd be ready to see them clearly. "You said you wanted to discover what you were capable of," I said. "I wanted you to discover you're capable of recognizing bad advice and toxic influences. I wanted you to learn to trust your instincts instead of depending on others to tell you what your life should look like." Lisa cried harder, saying she felt like an idiot for trusting them. I told her that learning to recognize manipulation was valuable and would serve her well. This experience taught her things about herself and relationships she never would have learned otherwise. "So what happens now?" Lisa asked. I told her that was entirely up to her. I'd learned about myself during separation too and discovered I was capable of being happy and fulfilled alone. If she wanted to rebuild our marriage, it had to be because she genuinely wanted to be with me, not because she was afraid of being alone. "I want you to stay separated until you're absolutely sure about what you want," I said. "I want you to learn to trust your judgment instead of depending on others' opinions." 6 months after Lisa moved out, she ended her lease and moved back home. But she moved into the guest room while we worked on rebuilding our relationship slowly. She'd cut contact with Monica, Jessica, and Ashley, and was working with a real therapist. "I thought I was discovering myself," Lisa said. "But I was just becoming whoever they wanted me to be. They convinced me questioning my marriage made me strong, But really they were making me weak and dependent on their approval. Lisa discovered that real empowerment comes from making your own choices based on your values, not rebelling against stability because others tell you to. She realized she'd been happy in our marriage and her friends had manufactured problems that didn't exist. They kept telling me I was settling, Lisa said. But I wasn't settling, I was choosing. There's a difference between accepting less than you deserve and choosing something good because you recognize its value. The reconciliation took almost a year. Lisa had to rebuild my trust by consistently making her own decisions instead of seeking validation from toxic people. We established better boundaries and communication patterns. 1 year after our separation ended, we renewed our wedding vows with only people who genuinely supported our relationship. Lisa wrote vows about choosing love over drama and building something lasting instead of chasing temporary excitement. Lisa did discover herself during our separation, just not how her friends intended. She discovered she valued loyalty, stability, and genuine partnership. She discovered she was strong enough to admit mistakes and mature enough to fix them. She learned real empowerment comes from making choices that align with your values. The best thing about our separation wasn't discovering I could live without you, Lisa told me recently. It was discovering I didn't want to. It was learning the difference between staying married because I was afraid to leave and staying married because I genuinely chose this life with you. Today, we have a stronger marriage than before. We communicate better, appreciate each other more, and are selective about who we allow to influence our relationship. We've learned to trust our judgment about what makes us happy instead of letting others define success for us. Lisa's friends thought they were helping her escape a limiting marriage, but they were trying to trap her in their cycle of relationship dysfunction. They wanted her to be as bitter and unsuccessful as they were because her happiness made them feel worse about their choices. Sometimes the most important journey of self-discovery isn't about exploring new possibilities, it's about recognizing the value of what you already have and learning to protect it from people who want to take it away.